A few weeks ago, I sat down with artist, producer, and fellow friend Josh Angrazano. At the time, he was in the process of rebranding and changing his name from Jay Sano to Sir Augie, and he talked a little bit about the process while also trying to find and redefine his sound. While breaking down why it was important to rebrand, we also touched on subjects like his family, his own personal mental health and faith life, and more. All things which comprise and pull back into his music journey. Now, if you're an artist that's trying to figure out how to brand yourself, or maybe you're in the process of rebranding as well, tune into the entire episode. I promise you don't want to miss this. And thanks again to our partners Riverside.fm and DistroKid for making this episode possible. More on them later. Let's go.
You are now tuning into the DIY Artist Podcast, hosted by Nico Santana.
All right, guys, welcome back to the DIY Artist Podcast Season 2, y'all. We have someone that I consider a long-distance friend who I've met years back, man. I've seen his transition, his growth as an artist, as a man, husband and father as well, so we have that in common. And just the transition on the music space alone is bonkers. I just listened to his brand new single, Speaking to the Stars. And my boy, Josh Angrazano, a.k.a. Sir Augie, welcome to the DIY Artist Podcast, my friend.
Hey, man. Hey, Nico. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks, brother. Good to speak with you again.
Yeah, man. No, thank you for joining me, brother. It's always an honor, and I'm truly a fan, bro. So if I fanboy on this episode, man, please excuse me. No, but bro, like it's so amazing to see your transition, and there's so much that I want to talk to you about today. But for those that don't and haven't heard of your music, your brand, who you are as an artist, who you are as a person, maybe just share like your elevator speech, who you are, and then we can get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, of course. My name's Joshua Augustine Angrazano. You can call me Augie for short. Grew up in the States, in the United States. My father's Steve Angrazano. That means some things to some people, but to other people it means absolutely nothing. But that was my dad, so I grew up in a very Catholic household. He's a speaker, and so, just all that to say that spirituality is a big part of my journey ever since I was a kid. I had a really spiritual father, a very charismatic father. And yeah, man, I don't know. A lot of stuff happened, a few in between, good stuff, bad stuff. And now I'm in amazing stuff, and now I'm in Melbourne, Australia. I have an amazing wife. I have 2 daughters, and, I've connected to Nico through this music, this ministry, this content creation thing that I'm trying to figure out. And, Nico's a very like-minded dude that I linked up with, back in 2017, maybe 2016, and we've just been supporting each other from afar.
Yeah, man. No, it's a perfect introduction to who you are, and I think you encapsulated it well. And for the record, man, your dad is a legend for sure, and
I think
for
so.
those of you guys who grew up in the Catholic Church, man, you'll see his name underneath, some of the more famous songs or the most played songs, especially in the newer Life Team Masses and that sort of thing. So it's pretty cool, man, to know.
If you ever tortured with the song "Go Make a Difference," my parish sang that every day for a year. By the end of it, we were so done.
Funny,
Go
man.
make a difference, but my dad would be like, "Shut up! Put some food on the table."
Hey, there you go, man, and that's important to know. But you come from a very musical family, so is it both your mom and your dad, or just your dad that you get the music genes from?
My mom's an artist. She's a very interesting person. She's very she's a passionate, fiery person, and she's an artist. But she held the fort down when my dad did what he did. And back then he had to go on the road, and he was you only get paid if you're on the stage, but it's kind of interesting. We're moving into a different place because I kind of grew up seeing how that affected a marriage, how that affected family and everything. And so, I'm trying to do things a little different.
That's huge, man. For a lot of us, we're probably first generation artists, and there's some few and far in between who are, I guess, lucky or unlucky, depending on your perspective in life. But to have been raised, by an artist, right? And so you mentioned that your dad was touring a lot. Obviously, there's strains that come with that, but also kind of the beauty of knowing that you also have somewhat of a mentor or somebody who's walked that line, and you can
Absolutely.
say, well, this is what I want to do with my family and my family life, and this is what I don't. It's a little bit more clear cut for you. So now that you're a young father, how have you seen that kind of play into your your role, your family life and goals, and what you want to do and what you want to get out of music. Real quick, this episode is brought to you by distrokid.com. I've had the pleasure to partner up with DistroKid for well over a year now, and I'm grateful that they reached out. Not only do I use them as an artist myself, but all of the artists on this podcast to date have been users of DistroKid. And there's a reason why distrokid.com is so popular amongst independent artists. They're easy to use, they're affordable, and they have a plethora of resources that are included in your membership plan. You can toggle between all the different resources that allow you to create content in order to market your brand new single, EP, or album. And while sometimes it can be a challenge to create content around your new music, distrokid.com has come in a clutch for many artists like myself when we're in a pinch or we need something that will get attention essentially to our brand new singles. If you're new to music distribution, I invite you to check out distrokid.com for 7% off their yearly membership plan using my VIP link in the description below, www.distrokid.com/VIP/Nico Santana. Now back to the episode.
Man, I guess I've kind of seen it more as, I don't know, like the more you die to yourself and the more you give to your family and to your community, you realize that, you know, maybe it started off with rap. I think for both of us, it kind of started off with rap. I don't know, but other people might be something different. You know, and it's like you just think like, yo, this rap thing, like, man, I'm so good at it. I got the words. But then like as you kind of mature, you realize like God didn't anoint you a rapper. He like anointed you the spirit of creativity. And so, you know, like
preach.
Yeah, you know, like you can zoom out and you can see that, I don't know, like then you just kind of become a dot connector. Like, okay, I know I have this and I don't have this. And then you just kind of create stuff. And then I don't know, man, just see where it goes. Beyond that, I don't know. I'm ignorant.
No, you're passionate, you're talented, and I think the beauty of it in this journey, the thing that I've seen that's helped out many people is just, and in any career really, is just that constant curiosity where you never feel like you've made it or you never feel like you know enough, right?
Yeah.
And so you're willing to have those conversations with people. You're willing to expand beyond your horizons, be uncomfortable. You know, you weren't made for comfort, you were made for greatness.
Yeah.
And I think as soon as we start getting comfortable within our bubble, then it's time to take a step back, like you said. But there's I would say, like, especially with rap, man, like there's two different like people, right? There's people who are actually like really musically gifted and can take their music, and maybe they didn't have great formation because they just didn't have the resources, and then rap kind of introduces them to this world of music and they start producing and they start becoming like great musicians. And then there's the other side who are really great communicators. But for you, I would say, like, especially just listening to your new single, man, like you're singing, I know you're producing. Are you doing like pretty much everything within that song, or do you have help from anybody, or what's?
So man, that like? Single, it's been a bit of a journey. So this one is coming out a week from today. I put it up on DistroKid, which I need to talk to you about the logistics of in this phone call. But I mean, I under the new name Sir Augie. I have other stuff under the other name like Jay Sano up, but this is first one Sir Augie, and so I just put it up to be distributed a week from today. And yeah, man, I don't know. This one came very sporadically, like honestly this week. I'm working on an album in the background, and I have found a killer producer who is taking my original beats and my original stuff, and we're changing it and we're making some cool stuff. And I mean, that single will be coming out soon. Honestly, I thought that was going to be my first single, something off that project, because that's what I thought. But then COVID happened and I can't go to the studio for a bit. But I've just been really messing with this new sound. And I got another single to follow up after this where I just purchased these beats. Like, I've just been listening to new music. I've been expanding my horizons. And I've really been loving the alternative rock sound. Like, I've been going back to my roots of, like, Linkin Park and, like, listening to, like, Limp Bizkit and, like, and all that. And I just, like, kind of realized, oh, man, I just really love that sound. And it's helping me be a better songwriter because I'm having to, like, really nail a chorus and get something that people can sing along to. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I just put this single together. Like last week, I heard the beat 21 Pilots type beat. I've just been listening to so much 21 Pilots. They've really helped. That's just what's really been inspiring me lately. And then I just found this instrumental and the words just like, it was written immediately, recorded immediately, sent to the homie. And I was like, this is like my friend who's getting a job with me at Radio Maria. I just got a job working radio. And this is like my producer friend. And I just said, hey, I don't want to go to like the fancy producer because he's going to like charge me and stuff. But like, this sounds so different and this sounds so cool. And plus, this just kind of like breaks the ice, you know, like everyone's waiting on the edge of their seats. Like, what is Sir Augie going to sound like if you've been paying attention? Like, you know what I mean? Even just me, myself, too, you know, I'm just like, okay, like, what's the single? Like, what's it going to be? Like, you know, it's just like, this is just kind of breaking the ice and not overcomplicating it. And it's just like, it doesn't matter if it could be mixed better or this or that. Like, it's different. The Australian market is going to eat this up. The Australian market is not really into hip hop. And I've learned that very, very the hard way. They like...
Oh, I wouldn't have guessed, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, they like, you know, Tupac, and they like basically anybody in the movie Straight Outta Compton. I think Straight Outta Compton is their first like introduction to hip hop, like this generation of young adults. Like, to be totally honest, because every time you ask them what their favorite rapper is, they're like Ice Cube. I'm like, yeah, man, like a lot of stuff's happened since then. But like he, so I don't know that, but like the alternative indie rock sound is really, really popular here. And so
wow,
I'm just going to kind of switch it up a bit for a few singles and then drop the album when I drop the album, you know? Total other conversation is now I'm focusing on being active on socials and also minimizing that and breaking it down to looking out like 2-3 weeks ahead of time, TikTok content. Like a minute's worth, just like spit a couple bars, maybe do some remixes, you know, I'll get this backdrop and everything. And then, you know, like that's kind of been a big thing as well, is like stop making music videos and make TikToks. He was like, how are you going to know, like, why are you going to spend all that money on a music video and you don't know if it's going to pop? Just like, why not film like 10 TikTok video ideas for the same song? And then whichever one goes viral, make a music video for that one.
Hey, let's give it up, man. That's awesome, bro. Let's go. That's amazing, bro. No, I appreciate that insight, bro, because this is really the theme of this particular podcast, why I reached out to you in the first place, because you're in the process of rebranding. And
yeah,
I know you and I have talked offline, and we've talked about, you know, kind of the same things that you're really getting into right now, which is the whole aspect of getting on socials, being uncomfortable, like we said, with the idea of like getting on socials and trying new things and experimenting. And it's very much like the creative process of songwriting, right? Like, it's like you may think something hits and then you put it out and it doesn't, or maybe you work on something like haphazardly and then you put it out and it just starts going off, right? And so that experimentation factor kind of removes that uncertainty, especially for us artists, of knowing like, is this what my audience wants, number one, and who is my audience, number two? So you've come to terms with knowing that like the people around you, they don't necessarily listen to the type of music that you were doing beforehand, and now you're transitioning your sound. So from Jay Sano to Sir Augie, what would you say like are the biggest key differences, and why did you choose to change your name? Is there more than just the name change? Is there like logo, look? What's the main difference in that rebranding for you?
Oh man, I mean, it was just time. Like I don't know, like as an artist, and I've just I'm not afraid to rebrand. Like I've done it a few times already, if I'm being honest. Like my first rap name was August Flow, and then it went to Joshua Angersano, and then it went to Jay Sano, and then it went to now like Sir Augie. Like if you just follow the sound sonically, it's just me growing and developing, and you know, like I guess I want to look back and be really proud of my catalog, and I want to have something that like really represents, I don't know, just something that I, even 10 years, 20 years down the line, would be like, man, that's beautiful that I did that. Like maybe there's some stuff like that in Jay Sano, but honestly, I feel like that season it was more just the hustle and like the trying and the failing. It was just a lot of failing. Like and I don't know, maybe they're not failures when you look back, but when it just comes to just like where my heart was and aiming properly, like I just wasn't there in everything, in every category. And I feel like with Sir Augie, like I'm 27 now. I just turned 27. And like I know I've been through some things. I've been through some ups, been through some downs. I've listened to a lot of music. I've done the few 10,000 hours. And like, I don't know, I just feel like I'm ready for a new look, a new sound, it's a new energy. And I can really feel, like, I love the feeling of starting over. And I know you can't start over all the time, but like I feel like I really, like, especially with like being active on socials and everything, I can just tell with the 200 or 300 people that are active with me, like even like and that's what maybe like I haven't been releasing the past couple years because I thought like who's been like no one cares, I've spent all this time. But then like I've been really encouraged by like the 300 people who've been rocking with me. Like there's like 300 people who like just kept streaming my music, would reach out to me randomly, like on a DM or something, and be like, man, like, this song really spoke to me today, or like, I just lost my, like, whatever, and, it's just like your music. You just need to get over yourself and just do it.
Now, I want to take a quick moment to thank our episode sponsor, Riverside.fm. I actually recorded this episode using Riverside.fm's platform, and it was great because Jay Sano, now Sir Augie, is located in Australia, and while we've had a chance to hang out in the past, unfortunately, it's not as easy for me to fly out to Australia or for him to come to Florida for us to record this podcast. This is where Riverside.fm came in super handy. Not only is it easy for me to conduct remote interviews using their platform, but I can always count on them to have the highest quality video and sound available. So make sure to check out Riverside.fm. Use my code NICO30 to get 30% off an annual membership plan or 30% off your first 3 months if you're using a monthly plan. That's Riverside.fm. Thanks again, Riverside, for sponsoring this episode. And now back to the podcast. You perfectly recapped how basically you're not afraid to start anew and kind of shed the old skin and try something different and grow into that new phase of life. And I think that's a beautiful thing, man. It shows that you're willing to put your ego aside and again, kind of almost in a certain non-spiritual way, of course, because this is like a one-time thing for us spiritual folks, but, almost willing to be born again multiple times and at least in the creative landscape, right?
Yeah.
And I think that goes for many people, many artists who've rebranded. I mean, you look at Kanye West, right? Kanye West of today is not Kanye West. Maybe there's no name change. Well, there is actually, yay, right? But like, for the most part, the sound is different. The look is different. He's had his phases from the moment that he started with the college dropouts and that whole look with the polo and the gold chain to, you know, now where he's at, right? And you see the growth, and then you see, in certain times where, you kind of take a couple steps back and maybe you're not your best self in that phase of life. And we all experience it. So it's kind of nice to see it, refreshing, especially from someone who, does put out music on a faith-based perspective. And it's not this cookie cutter, perfectly made. And that's what I got to give you your flowers here, man, because that's what I appreciate about you. Your thing doesn't come across as a gimmick or trying to be something that you're not, and that's what I appreciate about you, man. So I got to give it up to you for that, because that shows in your music, it shows in your content, and it comes off more authentic. You're not trying to use a sound or a genre for the purpose of anything other than you are really in love with developing it. And that to me is like true artistry and true musicianship. Again, just giving you your flowers. It's nice to see the authenticity behind your music and your brand. And I'm excited for this new chapter of your music, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, man. Have you ever heard of the Christian artist I'm Rescued?
I can't say that I have. Probably, but in passing, but not doesn't.
Yeah,
come to mind.
he got a feature on like the new 116 summer playlist or something. But he's from like South Africa, and I hopped on a live that he was doing, and he's starting to gain like a lot of traction. And he said something just about like the Christian hip hop space. And I don't know, like it kind of ties into what you were saying, but I mean, obviously coming at this with grace, because there's so many people who are doing this, like, just with massive passion for Christ, and it's like beautiful. But I'm Rescued. He was saying, do you want to know why Christian music sometimes sounds like watered down regular music? And he's like, that's because it is. He's like, everybody in the space is listening to like the Jesus version of like a popular sound. And so, like take like Hillsong or something, like, there's some sort of popular sound that's on the radio. And then like we just like carbon copy it over and like put Jesus in it. And then thousands of people like try to like pursue the same thing. And to be honest, like I was in this loop of trying to do this for like so long. It probably will get back in the loop at certain points of just like, trying to like, sound exactly like, what's popular right now. But then like he was just saying that he like after hearing that, I was encouraged to go listen to like Blink-182, like Pink Floyd, go back to Linkin Park, listen to Foo Fighters. And then like all of a sudden when you realize when you just listen to music that connects with you in like different areas, you also in your head, if you're a songwriter, you get new melodies and you get new ideas. And so that's how you can start to branch out. So I just encourage anybody who kind of feels like, man, like why do I sound like that but not as good? Like that's what I was like felt like I was doing for so long. And I just think you just kind of got to expand what you listen to. The new final frontier for artistry is like just being exactly who you are without any boxes like holding you back from speaking your mind.
Let's get it. Awesome, bro. Well, I think you've said a lot there, and also I'm going to take a quick moment to thank our Patreon community, the DIY Artist Patreon community. You can go ahead and join us at patreon.com/Nico Santana and select the DIY Artist tier. This particular episode, the full unedited version, is available on the DIY Artist tier of my Patreon page, so go ahead and check it out. The reason why I love this community is we love to help each other out. There are a few artists already tapped into the DIY Artist tier. There's a couple tutorials that I've recorded specifically for my Patreon DIY artists, and there are many times where I've received requests from the DIY artist community on the Patreon page for videos, tutorials, or if you have questions on DistroKid or pretty much anything else. I'm open to ideas, I'm open to conversation there. So make sure you join our vibrant DIY artist community. It is growing and there are limited seats available for the current price point of $7 a month. So go ahead and check it out, patreon.com/Nico Santana. I'd love to see you there. Now back to the podcast. Tying it back to brand, it's tough because as an artist, and this is something that I've struggled with myself too. And by the way, for the record, I know I've done the same thing, kind of the watered down version of blankety blank blank, right? And then all in all, depending on whether you're in the subgenre of this or that or the third, if you're making music, part of it, and let me rephrase this, what I'm trying to say is I saw a psychologist who was basically saying like, instead of breaking down your life in terms of like, you work or you study till you're 18, go to college, get a job, retire, and then basically die, right? After, retirement.
Yeah.
She basically said it's like the 18-year principle. So from 0 to 18, you're a dreamer. Take this opportunity to dream about the possibilities that are there for you. From 18 to 36, you're an explorer. Explore different possibilities in terms of, different career paths, different hobbies, different things of that nature. Don't focus so much on the money, but focus on just exploring and then taking your potential to the fullest. And then between 36 to 54, that's when you start to build, to really take calculated risks and hyper focus and get to that place. And then
That's
from 56 onward, you're a giver, you're a mentor, actually, you're a mentor. And so you start mentoring other people from the experiences that you've had. And so
I love that.
When you frame it in the sense of music and kind of what you're going through as well, 27 was a turning point for me. And we talked offline about this. 27 point was a turning point for me because that's when I decided that I was no longer going to pursue my idea of what a musician or an artist was, a full-time rapper really, that I wasn't going to be on the road, that I wasn't going to be signed. And in fact, when I had rebranded, much like you, to Nico Santana, my actual name, or Nicholas Torres Santana, but abbreviation of that, I wanted to be in the Latin space. So I was actually like moving away from rap and more so into like the Latin urban genre. And anyways, long story short, I realized that
I've heard some stuff. Yeah.
And
I remember that.
Exactly. And so I was trying to do something new. And for me, it was like, it came down to my principles and my values and my morals. I was getting away from that. And then number two, like my family, I was building a family and I was getting away from that as well. So I needed to recenter and going back to the whole explorer thing. It was nice that I got to explore that. It just wasn't for me. It was nice that I got to explore different, trying to be the version of blankety blank. It's just not for me. It sounds like for you, the experimentation of different sounds and genres and trying to pull from different landscapes and perspectives is really what's driving your force, you as an artist. And I mean, it's perfect that you're rebranding now, because that very much encapsulates exactly what it is that you're trying to do. Is you're moving away from your previous phase, and now you're exploring this new phase, at this time. So I think that's great, man. And it comes with its own challenges, of course, but the TikTok thing for sure, I think is helpful. And I think what you're doing, again, showcasing the raw, unedited, unfiltered to a degree version, going live and stuff like that on IG. I think fans like that, man, whether it's 300, 3,000, or you multiply it and keeps growing. I mean, I think it's beautiful. For those of you who have tuned in to the entire episode, I appreciate you guys, man. If you have any questions for Sir Augie or myself, please comment in the comment section below. We're trying to make this a community. This is not about me. This is not just about him. This is about allowing other artists to go on their journey, the personal, the professional, their musical journey, and grow alongside us, with us, and hopefully take something away from what we're talking about today. So if you did, I appreciate you guys. Make sure to, if you're on YouTube, give it a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then this podcast is available on Apple, Spotify. Thanks to our sponsors for this episode. And Sir Augie, man, thank you for joining us, brother. Thank you for sharing and imparting your wisdom, not just as a musician, but as a person, as a human being, as a man of God. So thank you, brother.
God bless.